Greetings, everyone, to the Win Via Trust Leadership Podcast. I am Michael Rabinowitz, and in this podcast, I speak directly with leaders and newsmakers to provide you with both practical guidance and fresh inspiration as you think about trust in your own leadership journey. For those who wish to learn more about trust beyond this podcast, my book, Win Via Trust, is now available on Amazon and other locations. Today, we are fortunate to talk with Eric Rothstein. Eric is the franchise owner of Spenga in Springhouse, Pennsylvania, which is a group fitness studio offering an innovative blend of three core fitness components: spin for cardio, strength for building muscle, and yoga for flexibility and mental wellness. He is also the founder of WellFit Wisdom, which supports small and medium-sized organizations concerning employee well-being. Before these entrepreneurial moves, Eric was a successful marketer for the global pharmaceutical company Merck, retiring after 30 years. Eric holds an MBA from Rutgers University. As you can tell, Eric made a major career change, something many of us are often too scared to do. Before discussing this in detail, I would like to level set with our audience. Eric, what does trust mean to you?
It's a great question. When I think about trust, I think about the importance of building personal relationships with people, whether it be in the office or obviously in your personal life. When I first started my career, I think my mindset was that work was at work and your personal life was your personal life. But what I learned as I built my leadership skills, that things actually get done in the office by building more personal relationships. And you can't have a personal relationship without trust. So what trust means to me is being able to count on somebody and having people be able to count on you. So when you say something, people know that you're going to follow through on it, that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And it's really important because if people don't trust you, then they're not going to allow you to lead them or lead the organization.
So true. So I assume, Eric, trust has been very important to you in your career?
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. You think about trust, you can think about it in different dimensions. One is, do you trust the person you're working for, the leadership you're working for? Second component is, do you trust your peers, the people that you work side by side with to accomplish things? And then the third part is, as you lead people, does that team lead you? And when I had the most success in my career, it was when I had a leader who I felt I could trust, who I knew had my back, who I knew was going to do what they say they were going to do, or when you've set a good vision for that organization and people trust you and they follow you to help achieve that vision. So yeah, regardless of the role I played, I think trust played a role in the success in everything I've done.
And you've done a lot. Speaking about an area of trust that we often don't talk a lot about, that's self-trust. And I imagine you have tremendous self-trust in making such an incredible career shift and taking on the risk involved. Please talk to me about what led you to leave the highly desired world of pharma, and specifically how trust in yourself played a role.
Yeah, I guess trust in this context could also be described some way as confidence. I think throughout my career, I was somebody who I think was known to be able to solve problems, that people felt they could give me the most ambiguous problem and know that I could put a framework around it to solve that problem. So I think through my career, I built this confidence that if I didn't know how to do something, I at least had the confidence that I could figure out how to do it. The best path is the path forward. That path doesn't have to be straight. And there's going to be bumps in the road and you're going to learn from those bumps. And so just knowing that you have resilience, that you have a problem solving ability gives you the confidence that you could figure things out when you need to. I had been with Merck for 30 years, had a great career, loved it. I think throughout my career, I was known as somebody who was willing to take some risks with my career path and take on some non-traditional roles. And whenever I did that, I learned a ton. The most personal growth for me came during those more non-traditional roles when there wasn't a tried and true path to success and I could figure it out on my own. And so after 30 years, I felt like I had accomplished most of what I wanted to accomplish. I also always had this belief that it was healthy to do something that scares you. And so I felt like if I'm going to continue to grow, then I needed to do something that scared me. So doing something without the guardrails of a large corporation led me to say, let's do something a little entrepreneurial this time. So things kind of came together at the right time for me where I had accomplished what I wanted to accomplish at Merck. I had this opportunity to take a retirement. I had this passion for fitness, and it just felt like everything was moving me kind of in that direction. So I took the leap.
And it seems like a very successful leap indeed. And your new business really relies on getting consumers to buy into your fitness program, which has many competing alternatives. How did you build trust with your customers to ultimately commit to your service versus the alternatives?
I think like any retail business, people don't buy things from people they don't trust. So having a personal touch has allowed me to do that. So we do a lot of advertising and we talk about Spenga and what we do, but we then focus on the outcomes that we can help people achieve. And I tell my team this all the time. Nobody comes into the studio to buy a gym membership. They come in because they have an outcome that they're looking for, and everyone's outcome is different. So some people want to lose weight. Some people want to build muscle. Some people want to for stress relief. Some people come for the community. So really understanding what it is that somebody wants to accomplish and then helping them see how what we offer at Spenga can help them achieve that outcome is critically important. Then, as we talked earlier, by then showing them that you're actually doing that continues to build that trust so they see you doing what you say you're going to do. So we really focus on the consumer. We personalize a plan for them. So we listen to them. And even before they come into the studio, we work on building that trusting relationship because we ask them questions about themselves and what they want to achieve. And we make them feel comfortable every step along the way, let them know what to expect when they come into the studio. And then they come in for that workout and you've already built that relationship. They see the workout for themselves. And very often you don't even have to sell them at that point because they make the connection between what you told them you were going to do for them, what they experienced during the workout. And at that point, it's not really even a sales role. It's just figuring out the right plan for that person.
That's a very close personal touch that actually builds trust throughout and helps them meet their expectations, which I'm sure is win-win. Exercise programs have a reputation for flourishing after people make New Year's resolutions and then drop quickly thereafter. So retention is a big issue, I imagine, for your industry. How do you tackle this? And is trust a meaningful component?
Absolutely. I'd say a couple of things about that. One, you're absolutely right. I think that a typical gym, the attrition rates are about 10% every month. We are between 3 and 4%. So we've done well in that area. Obviously, I'd like everybody to, once they come, to stay, but that's just not realistic in the business. I think it's about delivering what you say you're going to deliver. So two things I'll say. One is it is about delivering what you say you're going to deliver. So we try to do a very good job of telling people what they should expect and how long things should take. In fitness, I think a lot of people stop fitness because they think that they're going to come in, they're going to work out for a week, and they're going to lose weight, build muscle, and achieve everything they want to achieve. We're very clear with people that what got you where you currently are took a long time. We set expectations. Here's what you should expect in your first 4 weeks. Here's what you should expect after that. Here's what it's going to take. And depending on their goals, we're very transparent with them what we think it's going to take to get them to where they want to go. And as long as they are actually experience what you say they're going to experience, they're in it. Did a lot of training at Merck around change management, and it was mostly focused on creating change in organizations and transforming organizations. But the same skills that help an organization go through a transformational change are the exact same things that people go through in creating change in their lives. So just understanding that, helping people articulate their why, like, why are you doing this? And then reminding them for when they want to quit. Why did you do this in the first place? When we talked up front, here's what you wanted to achieve. We're helping you achieve that. You told us this is why you want to achieve that. Is that still important to you? So reminding people of their why is one part of that. And then same thing, all the principles of creating change, creating incremental improvements over time, making sure they have a good support system who's going to support them on the journey. All of those components come together. So it really is about change management and helping people go through until these things become habits for them. Once they become habits for them, they've internalized their exercise, their nutrition, everything else. They're starting to feel better. They're starting to look better. It becomes self-reinforcing, and then people are hooked. So fitness is a habit, just like everything else is a habit. And it takes a little bit of time to build that new habit. But once people do, and they have those positive feedback mechanisms where they're feeling better, they're looking better, they're moving better, now things just continue to move in a positive direction. So you really just have to get them over that hump of how long is this going to take? Why don't I have a six pack yet? Those types of things, and keep them moving forward until they become habits.
And during that process, which I guess for different individuals could take different lengths, are you tracking or measuring your customers' trust?
So we do in different ways. One is we do net promoter scores. So we do send out surveys. After every session, we ask for feedback. So we're constantly asking for feedback. And so we can look at the comments and see how people are feeling about the studio. Some of it is just looking at people's attendance and those who are coming back on a regular basis. They're not coming back if they don't trust you that you're going to help them accomplish what they want to accomplish. So some of it is in attendance, but we do have other measures that we look at to see how people are feeling. And I spend a lot of time in the studio, spend a lot of time talking to the members and see how they're doing and see what questions they have, see what issues they're having. So being there and being the face of the business, where, as I mentioned, starting at the beginning, I spend a lot of time with them building that trusting relationship. Then they see me in the studio and I'm checking in with them to see how things are going and what questions do they have, what concerns do they have, and then I'm addressing those questions. So trust is an ongoing process. It's not create a trusting experience and then glide from there. You have to continue to do what you say you're going to do. You have to deliver for them. And I think when they see that you're invested in their success, then there's an inherent trust, and that personal relationship prevails and helps move that relationship forward.
I think being in the gym as much as you are not only helps greatly to your health, but you're also like a customer yourself. That has benefits of insight and other perspectives, I'm sure. Now, you're highly skilled in using social media to attract new customers and continue a dialogue with them. I know you've shown me, and it's quite impressive. While many people are distrustful of social media, how do you make it work for your organization?
It's a great question. And I'm not sure that we're all the way there yet. For me, social media has a couple of different purposes. Within our membership, we use social media to help build engagement within the community. So we tell people about what's happening in the studio and so that they can get involved. Because again, one of the things I like about group fitness is it feels very much like a community, and they like that aspect. We do a fair bit of just organic social media where it's just fun kinds of things that get people's attention and keeps them scrolling. One of the most important parts that we use social media is to show people that we are a credible source of fitness information. So we do things like Tip Tuesday, where we're sharing our knowledge about fitness, wellness, nutrition, so that people who follow us start to see us as a credible source for that information. And that's what builds trust, when you can create that credible source. The other thing we do is we do a lot of testimonials. So we're sharing the actual success. I'm not telling people what people have accomplished at Spenga. I'm letting them tell people, why did you come to Spenga? What have you accomplished since you've been here? What would you tell people who are thinking about coming to Spenga? So using those testimonials for regular people that somebody who's watching is like, this person looks just like me. What they're describing and the reasons they came to Spenga is exactly the situation I'm in. So it starts to resonate for people that maybe that is the place for me because so-and-so went there and they accomplished what I want to accomplish. So then I believe that I can accomplish that. So it's really kind of surrounding the customer from a lot of different perspectives so that they see you as a credible source of information and they see the results that you're providing to other people. And, it begins to resonate for them.
Yeah, it's a slow build, but when it really all comes together, it can be quite powerful. Now, you mentioned you've been learning things all your career, but I'm sure you've learned a lot since leaving corporate America and owning a franchise. Can you tell me some things that may have surprised you about trust from your customers, employees that you've learned recently?
It's a really good question. There's different types of people, right? And working in a corporate environment, types of people you're working with seem to be kind of cut from the same cloth in a way. You're part of a culture within an organization, and the culture determines kind of the norms. But when you're outside of that, one, within my employees, I have to build that culture now. And the people who work for me come from extremely diverse backgrounds. My instructors, I have people who are teachers and people who work in corporate America and they do it part-time. I have some who fitness is what they do full-time. So knowing that you have to meet people where they are and understand where does Spenga fit in. When I worked for Merck, everyone worked for Merck. It was full-time. Everybody cared about that vision. Having this studio, I'd love everyone to be completely vested in the success of the business. But frankly, I know that some people are there because they teach 4 sessions a week and they want to come and instruct those sessions and they want to go home and never think about it other times. There are other people who are very vested in the success of the business. And then there's the diversity from the high school students who works at the front desk to that fitness instructor with the thousands of hours of fitness instructing. It's just a very diverse group with different backgrounds. So learning to meet people where they are, to change my communication style based on who it is that I'm communicating to and knowing what their why is for being there, it has been a learning curve for me. And luckily I have one of my employees who's like my lead instructor. She's my conscience. And so I'll go to her and I'll say, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. And here's a letter I'm planning to send out to the group. And she'll send it back to me and say, it's way too corporate. Like you can't talk to people that way in this environment. So having people that you can rely on to hold up the mirror to you is really important. And I'm very lucky to have somebody like that who I can rely on.
And not having a thin skin is also very important because we need to take on feedback, sometimes criticisms, and then grow from that because that's the only way we're going to learn.
So Michael, let me just add something because you bring up a really good point. And I've always, whether my career at Merck or in this role as well, the one thing I've always struggled with is making sure that people trust you enough to be able to give you feedback. Because I've always looked at feedback as a gift. And I am constantly asking for feedback because I want to continue to learn and grow. And one of the biggest challenges I think I've had is when you're the owner of a business or whether you're leading a large organization, getting people to be willing to give you feedback, regardless of where they are in the organization, is so important. And I think if there's anything I'd like to go back and do over again is figure out what I can do better to make sure people feel comfortable giving me feedback. Because I think that a lot of leaders are being told what people think they want to hear as opposed to what they actually need to hear. Allowing people to give you feedback and making sure that there's no negative repercussions to them giving you that feedback. In fact, it's the opposite, that they get rewarded for giving you the feedback, is very important. And I think too many leaders kind of miss that point and either aren't looking for the feedback or assume that the feedback they're getting is everything they need to be focused on.
Thanks, Eric, for reinforcing that very important point. So we've covered a lot of different angles here, and I'm sure I've asked you some questions that you didn't think I would, but is there a question that I should have asked you that I didn't so far that you think would help inspire and guide our listeners even further on their journey with trust?
I think we covered a lot of ground, and I'm glad I came back to that last point because if you hadn't raised it, we probably wouldn't have gotten out in this conversation. So I think you're on the right topic. I think that success, whether it be individual success or team success, ultimately comes from building trusting relationships, and that without them, there's just so much inefficiency. There's so much time and anxiety spent because there's not that trust. I think the only other thing I would say is that we're constantly experiencing change, right? Whether it be the environment we live in, the businesses we work in, the relationships we have, there's more and more anxiety and change. And I think that being able to be productive during times of change just requires even more than during times of stability, although I don't remember the last time of stability. But if there ever was a time of stability, times of change require building close, personal, trusting relationships, even more so to be able to be productive through those changes.
You're so right. We are living through a period of tremendous change, and the technological change around us is just unbelievable. So thanks, Eric, for an excellent discussion today. This is Michael Rabinowitz on the Win Via Trust Leadership Podcast. I'm going to wrap up, but I want to remind all of you to please remember to subscribe to future podcasts and blogs at winviatrust.com. Thank you.